Hi, this is Professor Sang Kwon of Seoul National University and Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. My major is about urban design and smart city engineering. And I will present the topic of the city for new normal today at IABSE. The subject I originally thought was the city of the post-corona era. However, I do not know when the corona crisis will end. Even if the corona crisis is over, there are many predictions that new infections or the other kind of the virus will increase. Many people talk about corona was a sudden event, but could we have predicted a disease like COVID-19? In fact, I think this situation is already been foreseen in the forecast in the process of damaging our nature and developing cities. Animals that live in our spoiled nature present us with this kind of the cruel virus. And this situation will likely repeat itself in the future, I think. So, in what city will you live in the future? So, I think eventually we live in the new normal age where we had to live with this kind of virus. So my presentation will cover the relationship between the COVID-19 and cities. The second one is how cities have responded to the new challenges. And finally, how cities will change in the corona reign. Okay, the first is about corona and the city, the relationship. After coronavirus outbreak, many infections have occurred. It is a very cruel situation. The fact that corona-prone regions are the metropolitan cities, where we are known that it's the best cities of our time, shows that large cities are vulnerable to that infections virus. As Edward Glaser said, the large cities have played an important role in the development of human civilization, but being susceptible to infections, diseases has many implications. It is a fact that the transportation infrastructure, which was the representative technology that development in the city, promote the movement of the people and the goods. And that such movement promoted the infections virus. It was the movement of horsemen that led the Black Death in the 14th century, and the grim urban conditions in England in the 19th century were related to the discovery of the train. The maps of the coronavirus outbreak in the 21st century on the map in the New York City show that the dense subway played a crucial role in the spread of the coronavirus. It is a paradoxical fact that the means of transportation that drove the development of the city facilitate the movement of infectious virus. Looking at the situation of corona spreading all around the world, the situation is more serious in the areas that are well developed at high density or where medical services are insufficient. Until now, while teaching, I'm in the urban planning in university, I thought that the high density is a more efficient and land use the better city will use less energy. But low-density cities have been taught that people need to use more energy to move and are vulnerable to climate change. But if we cannot find a solution to infectious virus in high-density cities in the future, I'm teach too differently. The complex city with high density we are being admiring now should probably change, I guess. The second one is the city response. It means that how have the cities respond when new changes emerge? Let's take a look at how cities have historically responded to the challenges. Entering the modern age, there was a first industrial revolution. Steam engines were developed and trains connected rural areas and the cities. Steam engines have also developed new industries. The steam engine created a linear city. The Tony Gardner's industrial city was a new model when steam engine was invented. However, this industrial revolution created rapid urbanization. Increasingly, people gathered in the city and the living conditions of people became worse. More and more people moved to the cities by train, and Paul Rudolph, future city model presents a city centered in the railroad. However, in this situation, the urban plan to improve the new urban environment. The garden city proposed by that Ebenezer Howard was proposed to suggest a good residential environment for citizens, even when railroad and steam engines are built. This can be said, it is an example of overcoming the deterioration of the settlement environment caused by that urban development. As you may know, this garden city model was a global new city development in all around the world. So next is that the second industrial revolution in which mass production and automobiles were developed. These changes led to the emergence of the new cities and new development. Unlike first industrial revolution, this change, the cities based on automobiles, led to the endless urban sprawl. People had to drive for a long time to take a walk, and more energy was consumed. At this time, the several new kind of urban models appeared and tried to solve these challenges. The Broadacre City, which was proposed by that about 1958 by that American architect of that Frank Lloyd Wright, provided an economic foundation without having to move to the city center, and already proposed a drone like, you can see this picture, from that people could easily move at this time. A more radical idea was proposed by that Le Corbusier. He proposed a high-density urban form so that people do not have to move to the distance area, because that the city is developed very high density and mixed the functions. In addition to this, the Japan architecture of the Isozaki proposed a city in the air, which can live in the air. In fact, the city in the air model was a proposal to create a city in the air to avoid contamination on the ground. A more radical concept can be found in that Buckminster Fuller's geodesic dome model in New York. He thought citizens could live safely from environmental pollution and disease in this huge dome structure. Considering it now, it can be called a large-scale quarantine space. The Japanese metabolists tried to solve the environmental problems by suggesting a city on the sea or in the water. It may be another kind of quarantine urban space. Paolo Soleri came up with a model where people can live without having to travel outside, proposing a huge complex city in the high density. And archigram's the walking city or Manuel Dominguez moving city model is an alternative that prevents the redundant movement and outside by moving the city itself. This idea was later adapted into that of Hollywood films. And next, a third industrial revolution was appeared in of the electricity and the computers, which present the nightlife to the city. The first industrial revolution, which emerged subsequently, is connected them with data and artificial intelligence. However, even this situation, the crisis emerged. The scene of the collapse of Fruit Eagle Residence Complex is well known as a symbol scene that announced the end of the modernism era. There's many problems in this kind of the residential complex, and the cities and the industries also show sign of the decline. The Detroit economic declining graph, you can see this picture, has taught us that our city is not always prospering. Large-scale natural disasters threaten our cities due to increasing severe climate change. But it is an ironic situation that is creating more cities. We built cities now, even now. Many electronic devices are making use of more electricity. The development of information and communication also show the same concerns as a Big Brother. The George Orwell's novel shows us this kind of fears where. So you can see that there's many changes and many challenges during that urban development in the human history. And now there's a new kind of the problems and challenges is now. But I can say that now we are in the crisis so great that all of these former problems are overturned. The emergence of COVID-19 made it possible to assume that the way of life should change totally later. Fortunately, we are creating tools to solve these kind of problems. For example, the smart cities, which have recently attracted worldwide attention, are being proposed to create tools to solve many problems facing our life. This picture on this page is a map of the smart city technology. I made it with my lab student. And this kind of technology are expected to help solve this virus attack. In fact, recently in Korea, smart city technology has surprised the world by quickly grasping the movement of people and infected by coronavirus and tracking the path of the infections. This kind of new technologies have always solved the problems facing cities, and even now, we will be able to create cities in the new normal era after coronavirus. This is from this is the last chapter for my presentation. It's about the new city for new normal. I would like to suggest some topics about the new city model in the new normal era. The first is untapped. In the future, I think urban space and infrastructure will change in an untouched form. The large-scale infections virus are spread through the direct urban contact. That said, it is difficult to expect any progress in economy, culture, or society without a network of the people. So therefore, there will be a high demand, a way to maintain the relationship with each people without direct contact. The existing online technology will drive this change. The way we are now meeting is also untapped. The CPS, we call it the cyber physical system, which has been talked about the smart city, is expected to directly help in the formation of the relationship network, this kind of untapped type. It is also called a digital twin. And VR, AR technology, which is already developed technology, is growing explosively. As for transportation, a new untapped type of transportation, such as autonomous taxis or drones, will be developed, and it is expected that our cities will change. There are also experts who are holding the e-commerce type, which has effectiveness for Korea's effective prevention for coronavirus. Now, human deliver, but in the future, I think if drones and robots deliver the logistics, it is thought that a completely quarantined life may be possible, I think. The present is that the digital twin of the first stage. But if we achieve the digital twin in third stage, where the 5 senses are realized in the virtual world, it is thought that a new world will, in which contact becomes everyday, will be opened. The second is the economic structure at community level. The sharing economy, which has led the world's economic issues up to now, faced the great challenge with this coronavirus. People have become suspicious of public transportation and space and car sharing. They want to know who is sharing this space and infrastructure they use. A full-fledged community economy can be an alternative to this problem. It is a structure that allows you to clearly know who you are in the contact with. Many urban scholars has proposing some kind of model of archipelago or cities in the city as a future city type. Instead of making that the big one, the big city, it can be divided into more smaller communities, and these communities handling of that virus spreading very effectively. And a structure that can be easily quarantined will give people a sense of stability. As people stay in the house more and more spacious houses will be demanded, and houses with the balconies that can be easily ventilated, and the cities with green space in the middle of the buildings will emerge in the future. I call it that the resurrection of balcony and the green infrastructure. The third one is decentralized infrastructure and space. In period of supplying large-scale infrastructure in the former ages, when it is attacked by a virus or disaster, the society is paralyzed, I think. In this coronavirus outbreak in Korea, the negative pressure world is a very problem, has a very problem in large hospitals was seriously lacking. In order to solve this problem, Korea supplied or distributed and decentralized infrastructure with a small scale. The video you can see here is an example of the recent construction of the small-scale decentralized negative pressure world. In 3 days, we built. Let's see at the moment. This video clip shows you that the modularized the word type, and the next video clip shows that the installing this modularized word to the real site. The location is about the southern part of Korea is a very weak point of there is no big hospital in there. Yeah, this two video clip shows that it's a very hard work in 3 days, but it helped to that isolated district with the well-equipped the hospital in there. And in this kind of that modularized the facilities can help to that the virus attack in there. So this kind of decentralization will require a new challenge and changes to the existing high-density complex city. A new decentralized urban structure will emerge, and the urban space changes will have to made in the way they create many new notice in the new city center. The Korea has realized such a decentralized urban structure through the Sejong city. It is a new administrative second capital of Korea that was recently built. I participated in this plan over 10 years ago, and at that time, we proposed a very innovative urban structure. It's an empty structure with a large park in the center. Through this city will be able to provide adequate ventilation and resilience is secured through the infrastructure distributed by the community unit. This shows that the central place is open and help to that the ventilation and supply that the open space to the citizens, promoting their health and preventing the virus spread. As a conclusion, the technological solution that secures the resilience of future cities against large-scale outbreak is thought to be presented by digital transformation. It is to create a decentralized city and infrastructure centered on the community in the form of untapped. New cities in the new normal have always been successfully created. We know that from the historical approach. The historical consideration have taught us this experience. I believe that we'll overcome this trial that are now facing us. This is a matter of survival. So I think it is not we can, but we should, because it is a matter of survival. In the future, the active response from academic society and international cooperation and industrial movement are required, I think. Thank you for attending my presentation.